Yo, it's your boy Uncle Pre with another episode of the Unfiltered podcast. We're in the studio today and I have Aman Sunner, your go-to self-mentor, here with me today, all the way from the Midlands. She's come all the way down.
Yeah, all the way from the Midlands.
Walsall Massive is in the building.
It's not that bad, honestly.
Nah, I'm not going to comment. Because we're not judgmental on the pod. But how are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
Enjoyed your day so far in London?
Kind of. I think the universe is testing me a little, playing with me. I've had a bit of trouble getting down here. I was at a brunch before this, but I'm here.
Fair.
It's all good.
Fair. Why don't you give everyone a little an introduction in regards to who you are?
So, like you said, my name's Aman Sunner. I'm your go-to self-worth mentor. So what that means is I help women transform their mindset, tap into their emotion and balance their energy. And the way I do this is via conscious coaching and energy clearing. And we do this so they can live a life they're fulfilled with, live a life they're excited to live. Because I believe like everyone has this light inside of us, right? And shit happens through life and it gets dimmed and dimmed and dimmed. So I help women release those emotions so that light can burn bright. And that's like self-esteem, that's their confidence, that's their self-worth, their belief. And we get that reignited.
Why just women, out of curiosity?
I knew that was going to be a question. I knew it was going to be. So everything I do is transferable to men as well.
Yeah.
The reason I work with women and I've niched to women is because I feel like women can resonate with me or I can resonate with them. It's that thing, the unsaid thing of, oh, you know what, I get you. I understand that. And I find a lot of South Asian women come to me as well because they're like, I've been for counselling before and they didn't understand. Like they didn't get that I just can't cut this person out of my life because it's my mother-in-law or because it's like my sister or whatever. So I feel South Asians tend to resonate with me and women.
Interesting. Because you say that right now. I don't put myself out to say I specifically work with women. I'm open to everyone. But yeah. So do you reckon you could mentor / coach me?
So I do have men ask for advice. I have men like, oh, you know, and I think literally we're just having this conversation today that women find it easier to, I feel like there's a lot more space for women to do this, and like myself saying I'm mentor women, I niche down to women, whereas I don't feel men are as open to it possibly. Maybe there isn't the space for them, and I think that is changing though now. So if men do come to me and ask for advice, and I will give, you know, bits of here and there, but as you know, as a coach, you can't really give advice to say this is what you should do. There's a lot more than just one question because I don't know the half of what's going on behind that, right?
So some of the conversations that you're having with your clients, are they in relation to relationships with either like dads, brothers, partners, etc.?
So when predominantly women come to me, again, another category that come to me is moms.
Yeah.
I'm a mom of 2. So people are like, you look at me like that, 10 and 14. Yeah. I've got a 14-year-old.
Jeez.
So women are like, okay, she's South Asian, she's a mom, she gets all the things that I'm going through without me having to even say it, right? What was your question?
As in like... It just takes it off tangent completely. No, what I was asking was in regards to like, you say you work with women only. And my question was, do you know with the conversations
the
that you
relationship
have?
So the main thing they come to me with is they feel like they're people pleasing, they feel like they're being judged, and they feel communication is a huge thing. And that communication can lie with any relationship, mums, dads, but when it's a client's come to me and she's a mom, predominantly the lack of communication lies with their partner. Now, that's not because, oh my God, husbands are like, none of that. When you have kids, and I always say like, when you've got kids under 5, 2 kids under 5, you don't like each other, you love each other. You're getting through life. It's a journey. Your focus is on different things and it's really difficult. But to communicate between that is really hard. So that often comes to the forefront because a mom feels that she's putting herself at the back burner of the family. She's not communicating that with the dad. The dad doesn't necessarily, the partner doesn't necessarily understand what she's going through. So that's where the conflict comes.
Yeah.
So communication's a huge thing.
Just very, very interesting. That's all. I would have, because I get majority of my clients are women, and I'm like, a bit like what you're saying. They find it a bit comfortable to speak to you. You get it from your experiences, but consciously, I feel like you possibly just understand it. And I get that same thing when women speak to me in regards to the stuff that they're going through. Like, I feel like the lens that you're looking at it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
But I don't say to the audience that I speak to that I just work predominantly with women. I leave it quite open. So I just found it quite interesting you said that. That was all. Because I feel like with the stuff I've written down today, yeah, why couldn't you help me if I was?
I could help you. And if I'm really super transparent and honest, when I got into this business and started coaching, I was taught to niche down.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because originally I was like, oh my God, I could have two legs to this. I could have the women's side of it and the men's side of it and all this kind of thing. And I was taught like by business coaches to niche down to women. So I have worked with men actually. I've done sessions with men. If somebody comes to me, I don't say, no, I'm not working with you.
Yeah.
But I advertise or promote that I work with women.
Fair. And how long have you been doing this for?
2019, I started, I went and got my certification.
Yeah.
And I'd say 2020 is when I started the business.
And what were you doing before that?
I was a beauty therapist.
Okay.
So it's natural. You'll find a lot of coaches who were in the beauty industry before. It's such a natural thing because when we have clients come to us as beauty therapists, like all of my clients were like, Aman, it's not shock.
Yeah.
Like you were doing it anyway. They come and they tell you all what's going on in their life, and the amount of people I had break down on the massage table, like just crying because stuff's going on in life. It was just it was so natural for me, and I always knew I wanted to help people. I always knew that I was to be of service. I just didn't understand how.
Fair. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So and how long were you doing beauty therapy for?
2017 to 2020, so about 3 years.
So the only reason why I'm trying to get a better understanding of your career and your experience, because I feel like it would be very useful. And I don't want to make this about me, but useful for myself just to understand a bit more about how you've got to what you're doing right now.
I've always been in the service industry.
Okay.
Before that, I did marketing at uni.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I've used that fully. It was a default course I think I went to because it was like, I don't want to do that. What's left? Okay, marketing. And then when I came out, I went into events. So I used to do events and I worked with a hotel in which I do special events, their weddings and stuff. After that, I realised it's not for me. I didn't love it. I had the 2 kids. They were young, working weekends, evenings. It just, 50 hours a week was not a good time. And at 26, I went back and retrained at college for beauty therapy. And I started doing that part-time, could fit it in around my lifestyle a bit better. I was still doing evenings and weekends, but not as much. From that, as I was doing it, like, when people talk about what's your 5-year goal, what's your 3-year plan, all that kind of jazz. And I remember having a few conversations and I was like, I think I want to look into counselling, like in 5 years, like that would be my 5-year plan. And I started to look into counselling, and there's a lot you have to do with it, and it's a long journey. And I was like, it just didn't sit right. I was like, I don't know, I think I want to, but and then through my own journey because the reason I'm a self-worth coach is because I struggled with self-worth myself. We have to go through the journey ourselves to be able to put the knowledge and experience together, right? And it was through my own journey of coaching, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do. So then I went and retrained myself.
Talk to me about that journey.
Oh my God.
If you feel comfortable.
Yeah. So during the beauty therapy, I was always outwardly confident, always sociable. Anybody that knew me would know, like, she's really bubbly, blah, blah. but I lacked something inside. It was like a self-belief. Even when people would ask me advice on, I don't know, facials or stuff like that, I would internally just cringe. I'd have the answers because I knew the answers, but I'd just be like, oh my God, what if they go and Google it and Google says something different? Or what if, and I've done the anatomy and physiology, I knew all the stuff, but I just didn't have that self-belief, and I treated that work and I treated that business as a hobby business. And therefore people then treated it back like that. I'd get last minute cancellations. I didn't give it the respect that it deserved, and then people didn't, because they smell that off you. People smell lack of confidence off you, right? They know that, or lack of self-belief, if you want. Then did I retrain? Yeah, I was looking at training as a life coach, and then COVID hit, and I was really lucky because the kids were at school, but the beauty business was shut. So I hit that like education, like no man's business. Like I'd use that 9 to 3. They'd gone to school, they'd gone to bed. I was fully in it, and I came out 4 months later with my certification. And went from there. And as soon as I started doing this work, and it's ongoing, there's always new levels, there's always stuff. It was like when people had asked me questions about the beauty, when I didn't have the self-belief, I'd cringe. And when people had then asked me questions about the coaching, I couldn't shut up. Like it was like, and then there's this, and then there's this, and it's so amazing. And there's, and even my friends were like, Aman, you've always been, to us, confident, but we can see a change. We can see the difference.
Fair. What did you? I have something similar with like friends used to say that to me in regards to it's they might banter it, but it's like, oh, you've definitely grown up. You've grown up. Your mindset's just changed.
Internal glow up, isn't it? That light free that I said.
Listen, it is what it is. We just smile and be like, well, done the work, gone through a bit of the hardship in regards to some of like the more difficult conversations about to have, and yeah. Not
even conversations when you have to, oh my God, when you have that thing that you don't want to look at internally, and your coach has to take you there.
Yeah. Oh, I had it through NLP. And it was all subconscious. I was like, none of this stuff is working. And one session, bang, and yeah.
I love NLP.
That penny drop moment, yeah. Let's just say it changed a lot.
I use that technique with my clients to pair, like re-imprinting.
Yeah.
There's whiteout as well, which is really powerful.
Are you an NLP practitioner?
So within my coaching certification, there was NLP techniques that were taught to us.
Right.
But I haven't done the course. Yeah.
Fair. That's mad. That is interesting. I still want to like go into a bit more of this self-worth, because I feel like there's something that you're possibly either hiding or not sharing right now, and that's like I know it from the journey from a coach. Like you may be here and you move to here later down with all the work you do.
What did I say to you when I voice noted? I was like, oh my God, yes, but oh my God, what are you going to ask me? Okay, go on. Hit me with a question.
Your self-worth, from the sounds of things, has shot through the roof. And there are people who are going to listen to this right now, future clients of yourself, who are going to be like, damn, yeah, I'm where she started, but they don't know where you started. So what was it that, if we had to go back and you were to just highlight, this is where I was.
So
what does that Aman look like? 2018,
2019 Aman was seeking validation from others. It's almost like when you want the compliments, you want someone to say you've done well, so it gives you that dopamine hit, right? And you're like, oh my God, yeah, great, that's amazing. I was seeking that validation in others. Like I said, it was a self-doubt. I knew there was something in me, and that's why I use that analogy. I knew there was something there. I didn't know what it was or how to get it or how to ignite it. And I would just plod along. I was plodding along in life. I didn't know where I was going, what I was doing. And this is all of the messaging I use now for clients, because I see so many clients that were past me's, that are past me's. And I was just going through life, going through the motions, like Groundhog Day, right? And I was like, is this it? is this what? Surely there's got to be something more. And there was a couple of things in my personal life that shook me. And I think that was the thing where I was like, no. Like, I specifically remember February 2020 when I just decided, literally, it was half-term week, there was shit going on. And I was like, I'm done with making decisions because I have to make them. If I'm going to make a decision, it's going to be because I want to, not because I have to or feel like I've got to. And that I take with me in my language now, and that's what I teach to clients. Like, you have a choice. You always have a choice. The consequences to the choices may not be nice, they may be dire, whatever, but there's still a choice. Yeah. And the minute you change that and realise you have a choice, you empower yourself. Even if you choose to do the thing that doesn't feel the greatest, if you realise that you chose.
I tell people that you don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you need to, like, drink water. And I said, no, you don't really need to. It's a choice. If you want to survive.
Consequences will be dire, right?
So, yeah, no, I hear you. Okay, I hear you. So this area of 2019 where you felt validation was 2018, 2019, validation was at its highest. And then things just started changing from you from there. And then 2020, Feb 2020, you made a conscious decision.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair. I'm sensing like there's stuff you possibly don't want to go into, so I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, there was a lot that like, but it's like not one thing. That's a whole nother podcast. There's an accumulation of stuff. There's accumulation of work, home, marriage, kids, COVID at that time. Like, it just all came at me at once. Like, even little things like my daughter was doing some, like 11 plus, doing grammar schools and stuff at that point, and I wasn't able to give her my fullest, and you know, that mum guilt sticks with you. Like, there's so many things that are layered in with that.
I feel you. It's just that's an unfiltered story for whenever it wants to come out. That's fair. I'm not gonna push any more buttons on it, but I can sense that. And maybe saying the word dark is probably a strong word to use, but there was probably elements of that once upon a time.
So I used to have anxiety. So in my chest, it was a lot in my chest. And I always now like explain to clients that anxiety is emotion that your body is trying to get you to understand. And it's literally knocking at your door saying, listen to me, you're ignoring me, listen to me. I used to have eczema. Again, it was a thing that we so easily label as, oh, when I get stressed, I get eczema. Okay, so why is that? Like, touch wood, I haven't had a bout of eczema for, I can't remember how long. And now when I get it, it's normally a release. If, like, the last time I got it, it was a release. Like, I'd had an energy clearing session, and it was just that energetic shift.
No, fair. You've mentioned energy clearing and conscious coaching a few times. What is it? Yes, finally I get to talk about it.
So, okay, energy clearing is, I love it. It's where I think my heart lies, and it's something that I do during my sessions. So when you work with me one-to-one, we consciously coach and we do energy clearing and we subconscious reprogramming using NLP and things like that. So I always believe that you can't, first of all, this journey isn't linear. Secondly, you can't just work on mindset. Our body, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, it's all interconnected. So you might have a thought which will create an emotion. That emotion will create a physical reaction, anger, you get hot, you got frustrated, the blood rushes, all that kind of thing. That will have a spiritual effect on you as well, on your energetic field and all sorts. Now, when I work with clients, often they'll come to me and say, these are areas in life I'm struggling with. Okay, great. And when we get into it, I'm quite intuitive, so I'm, with a client's permission, able to tune into their energy field. And what that means is I can see what's going on with them, what's blocking them. So energy fields can often look quite foggy. Scan their chakras. So by scanning their chakra, so many times it's like, okay, your throat, and I'm empathic. So it means that whatever somebody else is feeling, I'll feel. Like, literally just had a conversation at a networking brunch I was at, and this woman was telling me about her business, and she was so passionate about it, and I could feel that passion. Like, when you just feel it off the person, and you're like, yeah. So mixed with all them different things, I'm able to say, I can feel your throat is really tight. It might be something they're very conscious of. Okay, what I'm seeing is, talk to me about, what's going on with dad? Why is dad linked to your throat, for example? And then they're like, I didn't even realise, that. And then we go into it and consciously coach it. And then I clear it energetically as well.
How? Is there a
process?
Yeah.
So sometimes I can so when I work with clients, I always say I work with my faith base. Everybody has their own faith base, right? So I follow Sikhi. So for me, I work with, and interchangeably, I believe in Waheguru, in my Sikh religion, and I believe in the universe. And I think that they're more or less one of the same, because Sikhism as a religion is quite a new religion compared to others. So it factors a lot of science in. And to me, that's my faith base. Them two come together, as well as, like, my dad, he's not with us anymore. He passed away 2021, and he was a really big part of this energy stuff starting when he passed. Mixed with dad, like, them are the three main things that I believe make my faith base. So when I work with clients, I will speak to universe, Waheguru, say, okay, can we clear this from this client's energy field? Now, often, sometimes it won't clear. And that's because the client's holding on to it subconsciously. So that's when you have to go in, okay, why are you not, what's serving you by holding on to this? How are you benefiting somehow? You want to let it go here, but somewhere inside of you, you're holding on to it because it's benefiting you. For instance, I had a client who wanted to move to Canada. And for her, she was like, but like my mum and dad, and like I'm the only one that looks after them, and I can't, etc., etc. And when we went in and we were like lifting, we lifted the fog, but then I saw, and I say when I see, we close. I get the client to close their eyes as well, so they can feel the shifts. We lifted, and I saw like her pulling it back. She obviously physically didn't, but like, in my mind, I saw her lifting it back, and I said, okay, well, interesting, because you don't want to let this story go. And she went, you know what? I need them more than they need me. So that penny drop moment allows you to then consciously coach, but she wouldn't have got there unless we'd done the energy stuff.
Yeah. See, it's interesting you say it like that, because like I don't do it to like say that degree, and I've had other coaches and therapists come on, and it amazes me in what they do, because I'm like, I've got synergies here in how I possibly do similar things, but the way you lot are telling me right now, damn, I should possibly be learning from you guys a bit more, because this is all, it sounds amazing.
Everyone has that intuition in them. Everyone. You can walk into a room and feel the energy, right?
Yeah. I feel some energy right now. It's mad, because everything you said right there, I've got clients that I speak to over the last few years. I can sense very early where it's coming from in regards to, it's just one question, you hear an answer, they may
like what you've just done to me when you're like, okay, I'm not going to ask you anymore.
I'm not going to ask anymore. I know it might be a sensitive subject or something you want to avoid talking about, or it's just too personal, for whatever it is.
So I feel it will be something I talk about maybe eventually, but not right now in time.
That's fair. But like my clients, when they like latch onto stuff, like you said right now, you get them letting it out of the system, you see them holding it back in. I've got clients right now who will tell me nothing seems to be working, nothing's happening, life isn't moving along the way I want it to. I'm comparing myself to all of these people. They know exactly what they're doing. They know where it's coming from. But the most difficult thing on the back end of it is then doing the work to let go of what it is. So I call it like the roots. I'm like, your roots are holding you back right now. We have identified them. it's not going to be an easy process just to snip them off. It's not like one of those. It's possibly pulling that shit out. And pulling that shit out might require you to have deep conversations with the people that are causing this root to be here. If they're no longer here, they're no longer present, or it's not a conversation you can have. How can you slowly start to forgive and let go, and then start accepting them for who they are, and looking at it from a different angle and at the bigger picture, etc. And it's a difficult thing for a lot of people to do. I find it interesting that you've said it like the way you've done it right now, because I'm like, how do people step away from what it is that's possibly holding them back? So like you said right now, this client of theirs is holding this stuff within. How do they then step forward? Because I feel like a number of clients I've spoken to, and even general people I've spoken to, they have that penny drop moment, but they don't then know what to do after, or they are so scared on what to do after, nothing happens.
So for this particular client, she'd never actually moved, but she let go of that resentment because she was resenting mum and dad. Oh, it's because of them, I can't move, right? But actually, no, it wasn't. It was a her thing. With other clients, what I tend to do is I get them to look at the consequences. What are the consequences of holding on or staying in this life, right?
Our word is...
Me and you're like, we literally do the same thing.
Fuck, thanks. It's mad. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
What the
So what are the consequences of holding on to this belief? What are the consequences? First of all, we identify what the belief is, right? That they're holding on to. What is the consequences? What's life going to look like in 5 years? Yeah. If you stick with this, what's life going to look like? And the biggest thing I do is, so say if this is your lack mentality of what you want to avoid, like, oh my God, I don't want to live in this life, the hell. Say the hell. And then here you've got the heaven.
For fuck's
sake. Do we do this too?
Oh my
I love
God.
this is so cool.
This is so funny.
So you've got to be motivated by the goal you want to get to.
Yeah.
Because if you're motivated by what you're moving away from, you're going to get halfway here and be like, oh, okay, I'm cool, and then move back.
Yeah.
But if you keep going and you're like, I'm not there yet, until you get there. And then, by the way, everyone's always like, but what about when you get there? Trust me, when you get here, then you're going to have a different goal.
Yeah.
You're going to want to move forward. And that's why vision boards are so good, right?
Yeah.
That's why visualization and all these things are so good, because you're reminded that that's where I want to get. And that is so easily described with normally health goals, because people lose a bit of weight and think, oh, cool, I'm not there anymore, and start the bad habits again. But if you know you're not stopping until you're at, whatever you want to be at, then
that's mad.
You keep going.
I do it from like two different extreme points. So what your belief systems are telling you right now. So one extreme, you're always going to live in that lifestyle where that belief system's there, and what life could look like if it was never there. And then you start seeing the comparisons in the two different lifestyle choices, and it's like, so what side are you really on?
Yeah.
We know what side you're really on. What's the bridge? What steps do we need to take to go from one to the other? And that's more part of, let's say, the difficult part of things, because it's like the penny for me dropped when I had it. But for sometimes with people, it's like, I know what I can do, but it's just so difficult. And then I realized that, okay, cool. So to then help that process, like, I'm not going to tell you to just tell me a bunch of affirmations you don't believe, because your mindset is telling me differently. We have to start rewiring this now completely, where we're getting you thinking about the great things you've achieved. So one thing I've been doing recently with my clients,
evidence.
We're getting some reflections in. And so I've got I'm not a PT, but I've got a few of them working on their health related goals. And someone said to me recently, look, I'm just fed up, it's not happening. I said, hang on a minute. We created a little blueprint for the next 6 months on what you wanted to achieve. One of your weight goals was to drop 6 to 7 kilos in that area. So like a kilo a month. It's been 6 weeks into the year, 7 weeks into the year now. You've lost 2 to 3 kilos. You've lost half of it very, very quickly. Why are you so upset? Why are you not rewarding yourself, or essentially
reflecting, like, look what I've done?
Look what you've done. I was like, if we go back 6 months, you weren't training the way you were training. You weren't getting these steps in. You weren't consciously thinking about how to eat and prepare your food. And I haven't done any of this stuff. It's all you. I'm just holding you a little bit more accountable towards it. So why are you not rewarding yourself for that? And you can see that when you then ask them those difficult questions, it's just something that you know where the problems lie. So that's
Yeah.
when more coaching can come into it. But eventually after time, you then start seeing the smilers and you start seeing them talk to themselves in a different manner. And it's like, I actually look a little bit slimmer. I'm not going to lie. Like those clothes are fitting a lot better.
Yeah.
See?
So just what you said about like you can't give them a bunch of affirmations and it works. Don't get me wrong, affirmations are great and I love them. But the way I always explain to clients is if you imagine your brain as like a Jenga tower, like the Jenga blocks, and self-help books, podcasts, affirmations, all of these things are great on top, like workshops and stuff. But if you imagine you're removing the top blocks and putting new blocks on, that's brilliant. But your foundation, the bottom of the tower, is still them old beliefs. So just like what you're saying, we pull out and reprogram the old blocks so you can shake that tower, knock it down, and then start building new ones.
That's it.
Then put your affirmations.
That's it.
And everything on top.
Because
And
I feel like
beautifully.
the most bullshit ones are, I am beautiful. Don't tell me you're beautiful if you don't feel it. Let's not lie about it. But let's acknowledge the fact, and I've started doing this over the last year and a bit now, where my reflections, my morning mantras and reflections, I was like to myself, just trying to like just gas myself up all the time. And I'm like, but Pri, you're not feeling okay today. You know you're not. So let's not lie to the world and just pretend.
So what is it why am I not feeling okay, right?
And so I now give myself permission to say, I rank myself on a scale of 1 to 10. How are you feeling today? If you're not feeling a 10, that's fine. Let's go to the relevant rank and let's read this, what you would have said to yourself if you're in that mindset. So if I'm a 3 or 4, I'm like, Pri, it's okay. You're not feeling great today. Something maybe happened yesterday. Your mind's elsewhere. You just don't feel motivated to inspire and be the best Uncle Pri possible. And that's okay. I don't want you to lie to yourself and tell yourself all of this bullshit affirmations.
Yeah. So just like you're saying you rank yourself, I scan myself.
Jeez.
So in the mornings, I drop the kids off at school and like my habit is to drop them off at school and then we're lucky because we've got a park by the school. I park up, spend 10, 15 minutes in the car and just literally just sit with myself and scan, right, do I feel okay? What's going on? Is it in my heart? Is it in my throat? Is it in my stomach? And then this is what I do with clients as well. So then I take them, tell them to focus on the part where the resistance is coming up. What's going on here? What is this? And sometimes it can be the tiniest little voice. And you have to just let that speak and be louder and be like, okay, right, okay. And sometimes I'll always say, like with ego as well, once you give that voice a space, sometimes that's all it wants.
Yeah.
Just a space to say and acknowledge and be like, okay, cool. I'm aware now and I acknowledge that this is going on within me. Okay, right, we can move on now.
It's a massive game changer in all areas of life when you're able to start accepting your situation for what it is.
Yeah.
I know I'm not going to have the greatest of gym sessions today because my energy is lacking and that's fine. Or I'm stressed about work and that's okay. Sit with that. I'd rather you than try and force yourself to knock stuff out of the park. Give yourself an extra 10 minutes today to just sit on Headspace and just zone out. Or go watch some Netflix. If it's that reset you need to say, go do that.
Yeah.
And that's something I will affirm myself with.
I don't know if you find this though. So that is something I always say, like check in with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling an emotion, feeling some way, acknowledge that and be aware of it, honour that. However, sometimes with clients, I do have to pull them back in and be like, are you honouring yourself or is this an excuse?
Oh, 100%. I see. So, yeah. I do this because I have clients that will be like, yeah, I'm just wasn't feeling it. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. You've been saying that for the last couple of weeks now. Don't chat shit to me. All right. There's acknowledging it and saying to yourself, this is how much time I require, but be honest with it. Don't bullshit me and say to me, oh, yeah, the same thing happened last week because you've just got out on a couple of dates. What are you talking about?
And the difference is when you're like saying, okay, maybe I'm a 4 or whatever, you sit with yourself and you honour and let it pass.
Yeah.
Wallowing in it, staying in it is completely different.
100%. And my clients don't like it, but I stick it on them because it's an element of tough loving. It's more of a case of, you can't tell me right now that you're struggling when you're not doing anything consciously about it. I can appreciate if you need time to sit with it, but what I don't then understand is I'm looking at it from your perspective right now. You're struggling right now, yet you're not doing anything different. You're not taking out a piece of pen and paper and talking to me about your feelings. You're parking it aside. You're cracking on with the rest of your day. You're going out. You're having fun. You're drinking up. You're doing all of this stuff. Fine. If that's the lifestyle you want to live, great. But let's not shy away from the fact that you're feeling this way.
Yeah.
And you're not finding an hour of your day to do some sort of personal development.
Not even an hour is required. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that exactly, the 1% consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency is key. And I always say, even just try 1% to get better each day. There's that fact, isn't it? It's like 1% better each day is 30% better 37% better at the end of the year. And the other thing I get clients to do is, whatever decision you're making, check in. Is this because the first thing I get people to do is we get clear on where they want to be. Because there's no point in doing the work if you don't know where you want to be, right?
Yep.
So we look at where they want to be in the future. And then it's, does this decision align with that vision?
Oh, 100%. Half the time.
What would your future you do? What would you, and like, I get them, like, you've got to ask yourself this.
I picture people that I've worked with over the years who you can ask them that, but in the moment they are so stuck in their ways and they are so, I don't want to say the word.
Because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
If we get dramatic about it, that hell is comfortable.
Yeah. It's the easy thing to do. I normalize being unworthy. I've said it so many times right now. Like, going through pain was the easiest thing for me to just crack on with life. Like, if I failed, great, cool. I know what to do next time. Versus actually saying to myself different, more positive, uplifting things that if I did great, it didn't mean anything.
But I think some of that comes from, as Indians, don't you feel we have been taught to struggle?
Yeah.
Like, struggle is success.
Yeah.
So that's ingrained in us. So that thing that you're saying, like, it's almost like it's not good if you haven't had to work through hardship for it.
That's
like
100%. I said it to my coach, and I think I've said it on here. Like, I saw my granddad just not blink an eyelid, never moaned or complained, just cracked on with stuff, no matter how painful or draining or tiring things was. And I only saw him towards the back end of his life. So in the early years, I don't know what it would have been like, but our culture, and maybe not even our culture, I think majority of cultures are just designed to just crack on with things, right? But it's so detrimental in regards to the things you want to achieve later on in life if you don't sort that shit out early on. And
I always say this, like, again, it's ingrained in us generationally, like hard work. But I love my work. I don't want to associate like hard with it.
Yeah.
The bit that is difficult and challenging, my zone of genius is coaching. Running a business is not my zone of genius. That's the difficult bit. Yeah. That's the challenging bit for me. But I always say that, like, for our parents and generations above, they were from the industrial era. So more hours meant more money, meant success. That's not the case for us anymore. Like, we can work efficiently in a lesser hours and it can work better. But we're so ingrained to think long hours equals success, long hours equals hard work, that we find ourselves, and I think often this is what happens with people, that in a conflict of the ingrained belief of hard work and the conscious thing of, actually, I don't want to do this. There's an internal battle with people. There is.
I had that for a while in regards to...
Hence the self-worth.
And I didn't realise until it all came apparent, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to work a bit more efficiently for me, and if I can find a way of, like, I also realized that the way hard work was being defined was someone else's definition versus my definition.
So that was similar for me, because when I told you, like, in events, I was full-time, 2 kids, 50 hours a week, and mum guilt. So I felt shit because, I wasn't spending enough time with my kids. Then when I went part-time, I didn't think I was working enough, because, like, my mum had 4 kids, full-time job, the super mums, the whatever they do. And I was like, I didn't feel like I was doing enough. So that not feeling good enough came in. And that conflict, I was like, how do I balance this? What do I do? Like, because if I'm part-time, I'm with the kids, but I don't feel like I'm doing enough. I don't feel good enough. And then with the dynamics with me and my husband as well, he's like the breadwinner. So he'd bring in the money and run the house, and I'd be at home with the kids and do all the school runs and stuff. And while he saw it as a partnership, he's like, I couldn't do what you're doing. So, like, do you know, and vice versa, like you're saying you couldn't do what I'm doing. So it's a partnership. I felt different and felt like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not equal to you. And he's like, I've never said that. Like, that's not the case.
Yeah, I've said it before. Like, I did accounting because it was ingrained that it's a great career. And then when I was in this relationship I was in whilst after uni, it was like, I'm gonna just hold it out. Because yeah, I suppose I've been programmed to be a breadwinner, and you do whatever you got to do. It's fine. I'm gonna just power through with this. And looking back, no regrets in my career choices, but it gets me thinking, what would life have been like if I had unlocked that self-worth a lot earlier? Would I have continued in it? Would I have tried a different area of business and just been a bit more experimentative, if that's a word?
Do you have regrets?
Not regrets. I think I've got. I look back in life and I think I could have possibly done things differently, but I value every experience I've had, every opportunity I've had, even all the mistakes I've gone through.
I was just going to say, right, because you know it was meant for you. There's something somewhere that you were meant to.
It sucks, especially when they're like quite traumatic and quite like, fuck's sakes. But on the back end of it, what I've learned from that and what not to do next time around will help me a lot better than having to possibly go through that again later on in life and not experiencing it the first time around. So, yeah, no regrets. Obviously, stupid things I've done is pretty what you're doing, but respectfully, we're all growing up, right? I wasn't the perfect piece back then.
But nobody is.
I'm still far from perfection right now, and so it's always a learning curve. And yeah, nah. I wanted to ask you something about as we're both in this space. When someone approaches you and we find out it's not affordable, what do you then advise?
So, first of all, when people work with me, to book an Explore call, there's a link. So you fill out like a few questions to book the call. One of the questions is, can you invest up to 3 months of your time? Because if you can't right now, that's fine. Yeah. Come back when you can. Not all of working. I do like VIP days as well, but the one-to-one is a 3 month. Then one of the last questions is, are you able to make the decision about investment? And if they say yes, great. If they say no, I'll always say, well, can you bring the person, like maybe it's a partner or whatever, bring them onto the call? Because sometimes what happens is, and it's so, I don't know if you'll find this as well, it's not going to be the money. Working with people that struggle with their self-worth don't find the value in investing in themselves.
Yeah.
They don't, it's that they don't think they should invest in themselves. So then I might say, well, if you've got to go back and speak to your partner about what we've spoke about, bring him to the call. Like, he'll get a better idea this way. If he's the one that's investing in you via me, then that's cool. Then we'll have a discussion, have a chat. I will always say, again, like I said, I get predominantly moms, right? But even if it's not a mom, investment in yourself is an investment in the family. So I've got clients that are not mums that have done this work and take it back to their family. So one of my clients, she did a VIP day with me, and now she's like, Aman, I sit down and have dinner with my mum and dad every night and we do reflection time.
It's mad, right?
How beautiful is that? So they sit as a family, and she goes, I know they're new to this and they're not going to want to like do a lot of work, but at least we can bring that. Then I've got another client who is a mum, and she worked a lot on her people pleasing and putting everybody else like just, it doesn't matter, don't speak about it, don't this and that. And she only realised how much she was telling her son the same until she started undoing it herself. And now when she was like, my son came to me and was like, Mummy, so did this kid did this. And she said, okay, go and tell his mummy then. Whereas before she was like, doesn't matter, it's all right. And they do gratitude and reflection on an evening as well. So it's so beautiful when it ripples out on to everybody else in the family as well.
But if someone answers your question there, and it's clear that they might not be able to afford it, are you still, what are you advising for them?
So what I advise them is if they can't do the one-to-one, that's probably the most premium. There's group coaching, or there's the VIP day, or I even do 90-minute session. I have the different price points. Yeah. So I'll do like a 90-minute session for people that maybe want a taster but aren't ready to commit to a full 3 months. And then normally after the 90-minute, they're like, how do I work with you?
Yeah.
How do we do this?
Yeah, that's mad, because like, for someone who says that you're not really into the business kind of side of things, it's see, I'm very much the opposite, and it's possibly something I need to start exploring to some degree, because it's like I've been taught everything that you've said right now, but for me it's I know first and foremost when I get on the phone to someone, whether it's Zoom or on a phone call, maybe it's just the type of clients I'm speaking to or potential clients, they've never had the opportunity to speak about this kind of stuff with anyone. And they're within the age ranges of early 20s till late 30s, early 40s. And it's like they've been holding on to this for so long. They've got this random stranger on the back end of this phone call right now who may or may not be able to help them. Now, one thing I never want to do, and I feel you possibly have gone through this, is try and sell something to them to make them feel a certain kind of way. I know first and foremost, if you want to work with me, I'll find a way of making it work. And I do it in a way where I'm not going to shoot myself in the leg and just like bend over backwards and just offer more and more stuff. But it's a case of, if you really, really, really want it, and this is really valuable for you, cool. But I won't not give someone that time initially to just have that open, honest conversation, because I may be at a price point which is unattainable for them, albeit I do feel like we can try and find it. In the world we live in right now with the economy the way it is, for some people it's, now I'm scratching my head, I don't know how I can do that. But the fact that you now spent 45 minutes to an hour with me and speaking to me, you've now got a flavour for what it's like to open up. There will be alternatives. Someone might be able to facilitate group coaching, or maybe it's therapy you really require. Or I've seen these YouTube ads now around, I think it's BetterHelp, and it's like a therapy service. So,
but I always say, like you're saying, therapy. So people come. So first of all, to continue on that. So I've got different price points of different ways you can work with me, and for like the group coaching and the one-to-one, there's payment plans as well.
Yeah.
You've got to, like you said, make it easy for people.
Good work.
And then occasionally throughout the year, I'll hold free workshops and I'll promote them for however many weeks so people can sign up to them.
Yeah. It's only reason why I'm asking, because like I know sometimes people see working on your mental health as a luxury, and I hate it when people throw that at me, because it's like, it's not, but at the same time, you're paying for what you get.
Yeah.
So if you want to go for, i.e., a spa treatment, or if you want to go get a personal trainer session, if you're paying something which is affordable, you're going to get an affordable experience. If you're paying something where you don't care about it that much, whether or not you go to it or it's just money down the drain, expect that in return.
Do you know what it is, Pri? Everybody holds value in different things.
Yeah.
I've paid up to £100 on a Reiki session for an hour. Some people listening will be like, what the heck? Like, I hold value in that. I'm not a designer bag person.
Yeah.
I don't understand it, don't get it. It's not for me. Other people do, and I've been told it's an investment as well. Fine, that's cool. And when you can't say this to clients or people coming to you, but in conversation, I'll always say, it's not, like, sometimes it's not that you can't afford it. You can't be holding a designer bag and tell me you can't afford it. It's just that you prioritize and your value is in other things.
100%. And that's the exact, that's what I wanted to kind of like dig out, because it's like, if people can't afford it, what other alternatives can you have? And if people are genuinely coming out with that angle where, I can't get that out monthly. I had a friend say that to me. I'm like, what are you talking about? You can't be telling me that. You go out every Friday, Saturday, and you spend how much? And then now you're telling me about your shopping and everything. I'm like, you've got funds available to invest in yourself. You're just not prioritizing right.
Yeah.
How does
but that
feel?
friend's not going to be ready.
And that's
clearly not
and
ready.
That's it. And over time, they've been able to find why it's an important investment. But again, it's not for everyone. it's not. It works in time, right? Like, I hate it when people do say that it's too expensive. I'm like,
And the other thing I'll say is, you know, I always say I want the person to feel empowered
Yeah.
when they're making that decision and be like, do you know what? Yeah. And I'll always celebrate them and be like, oh my God, you did it. You said yes to yourself. I won't ever come from like but do you want to live this life? That's not me. And like you said, that salesy thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's for your betterment, for your life, for your future. And you're going to change so much that you're going to ripple out to your family. So it's going to be beautiful. So for those that like can't afford it, or, you know, there's some that genuinely can't, let's be honest. But we're talking about the others that are placing value in other things. I'll say kind of, so how much do you spend on a holiday for a family of 4 for a week? Yeah. And how long does that good feeling last? Because I can guarantee you it'll last. You'll feel refreshed for 2 weeks, a week, 3 weeks, whatever. This is a lifetime investment. Tools and techniques that you're going to use over and over again throughout your entire life that you will pass down to generations.
I've when I first started, people used to be like, I did a little bit of market research, and people my age, random group of people, and I remember some of the polls were like, yeah, I'd possibly pay maybe like say £10 to £20 an hour, 30 to 40 at max. And I was like, okay, let me break this down a little bit more. You're telling me right now, if someone worked with you for 10 weeks at the maximum, let's say 30 quid an hour, you're telling me if your confidence grew from here to here and you got this new job on the back end of it, or this promotion, it's only worth this much? Or if that improved your relationship, it's really make it make sense. And then when people say to me, no, it's priceless, I'm like, exactly. If I'm going to change this for you,
It's priceless.
exactly. What are you doing on
And
the
the
back end?
time investment. How can you tell me you don't have the time when you spend an hour watching a Netflix series every night?
Oh, I'm like, I'm guilty of
Again,
this.
genuine
Yeah.
people are run flat out. But I have a client and she's bloody beautiful, right? She's works in a pharmaceutical. She comes to the calls in her lunch hour.
Oh, best
Right.
believe, like when people are on it like that, I know they're really hungry for it. It's just, it's always an interesting space, because it's like, I would love to help anyone and everyone, but I also know at the same time, if I gave things out for free, the way
They're
I
not going to do the work.
they're not going to do the work. And then it's like, I look at the analogy like a buffet. You pay for a buffet. If the food is shit, you might leave it on the plate, get another plate. You just don't care. The difference of when you actually pay for something and invest in something, and you start seeing, oh shit, okay, cool, you're going to turn up a little bit differently. If you go to a Michelin star restaurant, best believe you're not leaving that plate empty. Even if you dislike the food, you're going to find a way of digesting that stuff, because you've just paid for this experience.
Yeah.
So no, it's no, I like that. I like that answer. I was going to ask you one more, but I feel like you won't be able to do it for me anyway. I was going to say, you're right, unlock the power of your self-belief. And I was going to say to you, all right, go on then, unlock mine.
Ooh. I would say we'd have to tune in.
Yeah.
Should we do it? And then if you want, you can keep
do
it. If you don't want.
Do it. Like, look, listen, it's up to you.
Okay.
This is the podcast for you right now. You do what you want to do.
So when you're saying unlock your self-belief, what is it you think that needs unlocking? I feel it's in your stomach.
It was a little bit there and a little bit here. It's weird you just said that, because of the way you've just asked it, I just felt very giddy out of nowhere.
Okay, it's butterflies in your stomach.
Yeah.
So first of all, I just want to ask if I can I have access to your energy field.
Do what you got to do.
Okay, so it's there. It's not your thoughts that are holding you back. It's people's, what you're hearing. It's like being said to you. It's like they're coming down, so that I don't believe they're yours. Your heart feels a little bit restricted, like reserved. So I don't believe that's in full flow right now. I feel you're creative the creation is on, the self-esteem. So if we're looking at chakras, your solar plexus is active. The unlocking needs to come from here. It's the higher chakras that need the unlocking for this to flow. And that is these thoughts and the beliefs. Is it around the work? Like, what is a life coach? What kind of work is this? That kind of. It's not red brick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
And you being able to voice fully A, what this work is, and B, the fulfillment that it gives you.
Interesting. Oh shit, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. We can, yeah. Interesting.
Interesting. How'd you like it now, Pri?
Wow. Silence me on my own podcast. Fuck's sake. That is, you know what, yeah, it's, I think one of the most difficult things I have in the space I'm in is trying to inform people that I've got everything all figured out and I'm on cloud nine, when half the time it's a case of I'm still trying to just figure it out every step of the way.
Yeah.
And there are days where it's like, yeah, those thoughts might come in. Like I might say to myself, I know my self-worth is a lot better than what it was. And sometimes it gets portrayed as if like you're killing it. You've unlocked it. No. I there's times where I catch myself going back to a dark place.
But don't we all? Isn't that
Yeah.
the journey? Like I said, it's not linear, right? It's like up and down, up and down. And it's about, and this is what I always say to clients, the work, doing the work is, doesn't mean you're fixed and you're never, nothing ever is going to happen to you. It means you've got the tools and you know how to work through.
It is mad. It is mad. It's and it's that conversation where it's not current comments, but comments that get thrown out in the past that makes you think, So this is gonna sound bad.
I'm going to go even further. Sorry.
Go.
Because of where I saw them coming from, I think they're on your the lineage of your dad's side.
Yeah, I would say that and it's like I don't think it's necessarily I don't think it's family per se, but I just feel like the journey I've been on, like a good example would be when I'm playing golf and someone asks what you're doing and I be like accounting. Trying to tell someone you're a coach is like, sometimes it feels a bit of like this is the first time I'm saying it on the podcast, it's a bit like, yeah, that's a bit embarrassing. And
Why
it's like,
that?
I don't know, I feel like sometimes the people I speak to might just not understand it. There are people that have understood it completely, that, oh wow, that's crazy, you're doing that, that's amazing. Oh, how's it working? I'm like, I can just let loose. But sometimes saying it, there's like elements where it's like they're going to look at it from an angle where they're just not going to understand. And I know I don't need to try and please anyone.
So exactly, I've had that.
No.
I've been in a group of people where, and it was family, extended relatives. Oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm a life coach. And a couple of them, actually, interestingly, the younger generation were like, oh, that's cool. And there was one, not even older generation, a little bit older than me. And he was like, oh, are you going to psychoanalyze me then? I was like, no, because I'm not a psychoanalyst. I'm a life coach. There's a difference. I've had, oh, how's your talking thing going? I was like, my career, life coaching. And that just like,
Yeah.
straight away, they're like, oh, I didn't realise, you know. And I don't take it offensively because it's just lack of knowledge, lack of understanding. How I always explain to people is, and you mentioned therapy before, clients come and may need therapy. I always say that, say if you've got a knee injury or a back injury and you want to get better, you go to the physiotherapist, right? The physio will help you walk, give you exercises, get you through it and process you through that pain until you feel better. However, you're not at your health goal. So to get to your health goal, you go to a personal trainer. We are personal trainers for the inner body, for the mind, body and soul.
Yeah.
So when people don't understand what a life coach is, that's how I explain it.
I know. I that's the thing. I explain it in similar kind of ways, and I've used other analogies. Personal trainer is normally a nice, easy one to use, but sometimes it is a little bit like, it just doesn't, the way I would say it on a podcast, or the way I would say it to, like, say, people of a similar mindset, it just roll off my tongue quite naturally, where it's still a little bit of uncomfortable.
Do you feel that's with a certain demographic you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah, I think certain demographic and certain people, I feel like they just look at you in an angle, and by all means, I've trained myself not to give a shit what people think, but I think part of me, it's still work that needs to be done.
Is that from a hurt space or a heal space?
I don't think it's hurt anymore. I think it's more of a case of like, maybe I don't know how far deep it gets, and this is why I still go through the work I go through. It's it goes back to the guy being successful. Are you making money and all of that kind of stuff? And it's like, everything I watch, Stephen Parler as an example, Jay Shetty as an example, I look at these people and I'm like, they gave up shit just to go power through, and they failed and they made it work. And I listen to all these entrepreneurs that have gone out there and generally given it a go. And that's what I tell myself, you've got to just give it a go. Yeah. Forget what people think. And it's like that awkward moment where someone may just make you feel a certain kind of way, like, oh, it's that body language. And I can read people and I'm like, yeah.
But yeah, if they've made you feel like that, that's something inside of you that
still there. Yeah. I know that. And it's work that I consciously try and work on. And it's not necessarily just like career related half the time. There are other areas, and it's like, this is why it's frustrating at times where it comes across that I've got everything completely locked. And when I speak to my clients and they're like, you just don't get it, I'm like, no, best believe I completely empathize with you right now, because I am still trying to figure my shit out and work through my shit. And it's not like I'm fully there yet. But for me to get there,
I might be 10 steps ahead of you, but I'm not like...
Yeah, exactly. And I might be 10 steps ahead on my journey, but my journey requires those 10 steps. We are in life and on our own journey, our own path. I'm not looking around to see where everyone else is. But it is an interesting one. She does unlock that power. I'm just saying, that was some weird shit. Now I know how people feel when I have that conversation with them. Fucking hell. Thank you. That was it.
It's all right.
Fucking hell, got me speechless and all sorts. Jesus. Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you?
The best place to find me is Instagram. Yeah. Aman Sunner Mentoring on Instagram. I am there, hang out there a lot. So yeah, that's the best place to find me. My DMs are always open for any questions. Email is hello@amansunnermentoring.com. So if you want to pop me an email, if you want to drop me a DM, always open. And yeah, just swing by and say hi.
I'd highly recommend it, people. If if I could explain in more detail, like the vibes in here right now, me personally, nuts. But big thank you coming through, and I know you've travelled far, but yeah, this has been sick. So
has my accent been okay?
Yeah.
I feel like that's a Midlands accent.
Yeah, it was a lot earlier, but I feel like
you get used to it. Cool.
Don't worry, I am used to it. But yeah, thank you for getting Unfiltered.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks again for listening. It's been your boy Uncle Pre. It's always a pleasure to be in the studio and record with my guests. I hope you have enjoyed this episode, and if you like stuff like this, please do like, comment and subscribe. It helps me take the podcast to a place where I can definitely bring in more people that are going to resonate with you, whether it's their stories, whether it's their journey, whether it's just something that they're going through right now. So definitely like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, much appreciated you staying in here. I love everyone that comes through, and I love all the comments and feedback that I get, so keep that coming through. And yeah, it's been your boy Uncle Pre, and I'm signing out. Peace.